Welcome. We're starting off one of our next sections here today, and with me is Kelsey today. So Kelsey, what are we going to be talking about today?
Chapter 12 on the evaluation of print media.
Okay, all right. So there's lots of different options when it comes to the print media, where we're everywhere from newspapers to magazines and e-zines and lots of other aspects. So we'll kind of cover a little bit of all of those. Is that right?
Yep, mostly just newspapers and magazines.
Okay, all right. So why don't you want to kick it off there with some of the differences, the benefits there of what can be included in newspapers and magazines?
Just some of the benefits of them. Well, the reader sets the pace. They have a selective audience compared to more of a broad, high readership. It's not intrusive, and there's high involvement with the readers.
Yeah, they. That's the one thing when you get someone to pick up a magazine and pick up a newspaper, they have to be involved. It's just not like they're walking by an ad or
Right.
something like that. So yeah, they definitely need to be involved with that.
Right. So just to start off with magazines, they have specific markets, and some advantages include selectivity, reproduction quality, and creative flexibility. Could you just describe what the creative flexibility is, or go more in depth?
The one thing that newspapers, what they have, magazines, in print media, is they can change things, whether it be size, font size, or different type sizes. They can also do bleeds, which is taking the ink all the way to the edges. They can do fold outs. They can create a lot of different types of ads and make things different. And so it's not like it's a set format all the time. And so they can create something bigger or smaller, and a lot of times that will be based on how much they pay as well, within that. You can also, like in a newspaper, you can have inserts, or you can have other, like I mentioned before, fold outs and some of those types of things. So really, when it comes to the creative flexibility, whatever is within the boundaries of a newspaper or magazine that you have is open, and so people can do different.
Depends on the budget.
Yep, and go from there.
Some services with the magazines: retailer alerts, consumer research studies, and split runs. So just more ads. And some disadvantages for magazines is obviously the cost. There's limited research, limited frequency, long lead time, clutter, and competition.
Yeah, there's, definitely, you look at the cost is probably one of the bigger disadvantages when it comes to print, because it is something hard. There's ink, there's paper, there's distribution, there's postage. There's so many aspects that are part of the disadvantages. And then once it's printed, it's not easily changed. You got to write retractions or whatever. And usually when you do a print, you do it in longer runs. So you're printing thousands of them at the same time to keep the cost down. And all of a sudden you've got, you can't make the change right away. So yeah, and like even in a newspaper, they're turning things over every day, but a lot of times they're working on stories days, weeks, months in advance.
Right.
And so it does take a longer lead time, especially in the magazines. Magazines take a little bit longer time with the writing and stuff like that. So that's some of the disadvantages. What about the magazine circulation?
There's primary guaranteed verification, then the pass-along readership that you'd see like at a doctor's office, or just taking those controlled, and then total audience.
Yeah. So really, the pass-along readership. If you have a magazine, like you said, just sitting at the doctor's office or waiting for the dentist or whatever, those can sit there for a long time, and then people will pick them up, and the next patient comes in waiting, and they'll pick it up. So that's a lot of the pass along part of that with the magazine circulation. When you're talking about magazines and their the verified, okay, we know we have this many people in our subscription, and that's what advertisers want. They want that verified. You can always say, yeah, we have good pass along, but they want the verified, because then they can say, okay, we know we're reaching this many people for sure. It's guaranteed. We know that people are getting them. It's just not a magazine that they're. Sometimes magazines are just mailed or out. They're free to pick up, but if someone subscribes to it, usually it's going to be a guaranteed in that sense. And so, so then it comes into the whole total audience aspect of where, again, how many people are actually reading them. So
Right.
the higher the number, the better, and
Right.
the higher the sales.
Right. Along with sales and money, the cost elements of advertising space, it depends on circulation and the size, the position of the ad,
Right.
the additions, production, insertion number, and the use of color.
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of lots of aspects that will increase the costs. There's Minneapolis, the Star Tribune is going to, it's higher costs. They reach more people than say the Mankato Free Press. The size of the newspaper itself. Sometimes just even how much print is, or the width of the newspaper will have some of the costs and the advertising. Sometimes most newspapers they're based on number of ads. Okay, so we've sold this many ads, so that's how many pages that we're going to have in this newspaper. And usually it runs in increments of 4, like an 8-page, 12-page, 16. So it usually goes up in 4. So however many ads they sell, once they reach a certain percentage, then they can add another 4, so they know what the cost is per every 4. And so that's part of that positioning. More so in the magazines, where it comes with the magazines, the back page. Say, for example, an advertisement. Here's one from Dell. It's on the back page. And what one do you have there? You have one from Shopko. Is that what it is? The game day. So that's going to be a lot more than say one that's in the middle somewhere.
Right.
That's part of that as well. So positioning certain issues. What issue is that? Is that a specific?
It's just a program.
Oh, that's a game
so they
program.
Do this huge program for each game.
Yeah. So like addition. So like the Packer one's going to be less money than say the Vikings one. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. But certain additions. Say something even as the example of the swimsuit issue for Sports Illustrated. It's a special issue. They're going to charge more for ads in that, and they'll probably have specific people that they're going to charge for, or the end of the year in review type of type of magazine, so they can do that. Number of insertions, production, and then the use of color, and so color is a big part. So if you just look at a couple of these magazines that we have, it could be like half page, and I know you've got some different ones, or a full page ad. Usually in the back there's a lot of smaller ones that are in there, but here's one that I don't know if it's a quarter of a page or a third of a page. Here's like 2/3. So yeah, there's all kinds of different sizes, and again, placement. A lot of times those inside ones are more expensive as well, just like the back side. So which one do you have on the inside there? What's that for?
OneSaleAday.com.
OneSaleAday.com. So they spent some money on that, and same as Chase here on that one. So those are some different things about the ads within magazines. Some local magazines that we have. I want to give you an example of. Those are kind of some more of the national ones. That one, the game day, more so for Green Bay Packers fans. Here's the Business Connect magazine. This is the Mankato area, the southern Minnesota type of a region, and so so it's more specific to our area. And as you can see, there's a lot of ads in these as well, but it is specific. And this goes out to a lot of like the chamber members, and you'll see this in the doctor's offices and a lot of those as well. And so this one's just basically specific to businesses that are in here in the area, and it talks about certain numbers and stuff like that. This Prairie Business one is another one. This is more the northern plains, so North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and a lot of it with energy and different ways of dealing business within the Midwest. And then here's one just a specific towards Mankato, the Mankato magazine. And this comes out in the Free Press. They include it there as well. But again, stories. Here's of a couple here in Mankato, or here's a person that talks about creating his own beer, and then she's the one that pool. We're doing pool, but again, it's very specific to the Mankato area, and the advertisers are all usually from from this area. You don't see as many national ones. Here's a brand new Tandem Bagels, a new restaurant or bagel place in town, but the INS group, they're probably the ones that took out this ad. They just designed this new place, but it's, you can see INS is kind of all over it, so they're highlighting a business that they did, and so there's lots of different types of magazines other than your national ones as well.
Right.
So.
Just talking about the future of the magazines, obviously there's problems with them currently, declining revenues, decreasing circulation, and the failure for publication.
Yeah, there's a lot of those issues. Yeah.
Right, so just some solutions to those problems: stronger editorial platforms, better circulation, and cross magazines and media deals. So can we just go a little more in depth into like the future of the magazines?
The future of magazines, the one thing that you'll see more, with magazines, I'm gonna reach down here and grab one. I should have put it down already. But the one thing with magazines is they're getting more specific. Okay,
Right.
instead of your Time and Newsweek, your Good Housekeeping, Better Housekeeping, some of those types. They're really getting specific. Runner's World and the kids and teens, and the market just keeps, and you'll see that more in the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way they'll draw those advertisers to those markets, and so that's one thing you'll see more specific type magazines.
Right.
And that's one. And then you'd mentioned the stronger editorial platforms.
Mm-hmm.
They want you need good stories and
Right.
good platforms that are in here. People want to read about certain aspects, and so when the editors take a stand on things and really come up with good concepts, that's another way that's going to strengthen that. More information for people, that's what they want. In cross magazines, media deals, Entrepreneur here is they're connecting with other platforms, but the future, what I see in the future of, say, this Entrepreneur magazine is, I get this on my iPhone,
Okay.
and so I can just pop it up, or your iPad or whatever, and so now it's everything's going digital. A lot of newspapers are going away from the print and going into this. So I think future magazines, you'll see, you can just, like on the iPad, just flip them,
Right.
just like a regular magazine, or even on the iPhone, the formats are there, so it's easier to read.
And will that save them money?
The money will come in the cost of the printing and the mailing of this out. This here, it's relatively cheap now, and that's one thing that's really changed. I think we might talk about that later, but the cover price to this magazine, here's another one of these business, so it's $60 for the cover price. Okay, this, you can buy it for 12 issues for $15. Actually, I think I got this last year for $10.
Okay.
So to mail something out like this, they're barely covering their costs on just mailing this to me.
Right.
But what they're doing is they're getting the ad base, and that's where they can start selling the ads to all these different aspects. That's where they're making money. The internet part, you say it's going to save us money on printing and on shipping, but are the ads,
Right.
you're still going to charge the same amount for ads as you would before? That's where it's an unknown yet. So.
Right.
Again, more online. You'll see things like the Mankato magazine, some of those other ones, they're inserted in newspapers. You'll start seeing them inserted into other things and other locations as well. So that's a big part of that. So.
All right. So we should move on to newspapers. Just some advantages of the newspaper is the display. Classified, they have special ads or inserts like you were talking about the magazine. Flexibility, geographic selectivity, involvement, and services offered.
Yeah.
Do you have-
The Mankato Free Press, okay, it's still a local one, but it's also a newspaper of record, okay, and to find out, so you can archive these and, and for legal aspects. I wonder if I don't know if they have it in this section or not, but a lot of times they will have a new business or foreclosures or, legal announcements. That's something that needs to be on record, and so then they can store it. So that's one good thing about this. But getting into the newspapers, and the advantage is you got display ads, bigger ads down here. You got classified ads,
Right.
the want ads and stuff. So you've got different types of formats of ads. Here's a banner ad at the bottom of the front page, where they can, get right on the front page. That never used to happen, and they're never advertised on the front page, but now they're starting to get into that. You can insert things into these, the newspapers, flyers, or whatever it might be. So you can work in those aspects as well. There's flexibility. Like I said, here's a banner ad, so they have the flexibility to making it there. It doesn't have to be there all the time. Opening up, okay, so there's an ad in the bottom. You can add color, you can add different sizes. And so there's a lot of different flexibility you can see in some of these ads. So here's a JCPenney 2-page ad, so they're spending a lot of money on something like that, which gets in Unicell. There's a lot of money that goes into print advertising, and so you can also pick out your specific newspapers. Say it's just the Mankato area, you can advertise in here. If you want Minnesota, maybe you go to the Star Tribune or USA Today on a national level. So you can talk about geographic aspects as well when it comes to the newspaper.
Right.
So.
Now that we've covered the advantages, just some disadvantages. There's low production quality and a short lifespan compared to the magazines that have like the pass-along readership. A lack of selectivity, clutter, and then the limited color offered. Yeah,
clutter. There's lots of things going on. You think pictures and lots of other ads, a lot of clutter going on. But the one thing you mentioned about the color, this is the display ad rates for the Mankato Free Press, and so depending on like a flat rate, you're looking at depending on how big it is, $5-6, per column inch. But when you come to color, now all of a sudden one color, if you want to do just one color, say it's green or something like that, just a flat rate of $198 to add color. If you want to do full color, that's a full, now you're at a flat rate of $300, then depending on how big it is. And then it all goes by how much how many times you put it in there, how much money you spend. So to me, this is say you're going to spend $4,000 over the course of the year advertising in the paper. Your rate's going to be $1,837. But if you plan on spending $100,000 over the course of the year, now your rate is $12.83 a square inch. But $100. I was just even amazed someone spending $100,000 advertising in the Mankato Free Press. There's non-contract rates where you just want to do a one-time ad. It's $25, $26, and that's for an inch. Okay, a display inch. And then the church is 14, or charity, it's $14.75. So you could get a lot cheaper when you go to that church rate. So, and then the Sunday is, in this case, the Sundays are all about $3 more per inch. So things definitely change by how much you spend with the organization. So it's an interesting ad. It's definitely expensive to advertise, and especially with color in the newspaper.
So the future of the magazines, obviously there's competition from other media we saw with magazines, the online delivery, cross-media opportunities, declining circulation, and attracting and retaining the readers.
Yeah, so there's, you start thinking about that, the decline of the circulation. The younger generation just isn't picking up the newspaper as much. I try to get my kids, they like to read the paper in the morning and stuff, but for the most part, people just don't read the newspaper as much. The circulation is going down. You got your iPhones, you got all that. You got the information sent to you right away. And so you don't have to wait for the morning newspaper to read what happened last night or the sports scores or whatever. You can just get on your phone or internet and find out the score right away at night instead of waiting till the next morning. And so that's declining that. But so then a lot of people are starting to go online. So as soon as the story's done, they can post it.
Right.
And
I think they can watch the news while getting ready, whereas it takes extra time to sit down and read it.
Yeah. So lots of aspects when it comes to newspaper and magazine, and the difference in costing online versus that people first started out where it was a lot more expensive online, and then it dropped, and I think it's starting to come back up a little bit more now. Because more people are going online, and when it first came out, okay, here we can add this to it, and it was this much, but people just didn't catch on and didn't didn't see the ads as much, and so now more people are online, so they're raising the prices back up again, so, yeah. So again, weighing the costs,
Right.
it's a hard thing, advertising online versus in print or in magazines. You got to find out what's right for your company, being specific, what type of magazine you want to be in, what type of newspaper, what page. If you'll be in the sports section or the news or the entertainment, you can pick a lot of those things, so you can hit specific audiences, which is nice.
Right.
So you've got to weigh all of those options to make it beneficial for what you're trying to sell. All right?
Yep.
Okay, well, thanks for the conversation.
Yep, thanks.
Okay.